just a good old boy.
Well, y'all remember I said that won't be long till we're rolling in the field. Today may be the day. We'll see how far we get. I'm trying to get this sprayer ready to go and going. My goal is to get everything done and ready to go and get one tank sprayed today. Normally I do 2 to 3, but I'm just going to fill it up once. Hopefully get it sprayed out. And on the way, we've got to mount the GPS in here. It's not in here. I've also got to check all the nozzles, make sure everything's going, clean everything out. So it's going to be a busy day. Have not got my tanks ready to go. Hold on a minute. Have not got my tanks ready to go or anything as far as the nurse tank trailer. Have not set none of that up, but we need to get spraying. It's really getting late. We've got to get started or I'll never get anything done this year, or never get it all done this year before we have to cut hay. Alright, so we got pressure. Drawn up. That means that the pump's is primed and ready to turn on. Slip it on. Well, one side's spraying and one side's not, so that tells me I've got a solenoid issue. Let's see, this is going to be right, correct. The center is not working either. So we've definitely got solenoid problems. I got one solenoid working out of the 3. We go tinker on that and see what we can't figure out. It could just be hopefully stuck. Alright, I picked on them a little bit. Y'all can tell, I don't know if maybe you can see it, they're working now. So I'm gonna try flipping them on and off and see if they'll keep working. Alright, there's off, now they're on. Keep working them in and out and they'll free up. They probably got a little corrosion in there, maybe had them stuck from sitting over the winter. I just tapped on them the side of the solenoids a little bit with a hammer and they went right to working. Which is kind of a common problem with these things after they sit all winter. They will stick. Let's go check the nozzles and make sure everything's flowing right. This is just water, so nobody get worried. The tank's clean. Alright, looks like we got good fans on all of them. That and there's a little crooked. I took it off yesterday when I hooked it up. And just looked to see how dirty they was. I just cleaned this thing other than when we sprayed Johnson grass right before it got put up, so I shouldn't have to do a whole lot to them. I'm looking for drips too, little water drops. If there's any water drops dropping, that means there's not a good seal between the tip. These are your tips that makes the fan and your housing that they go in. This is just water, but it looks like everything's good. I just need to tighten a few up and straighten a few up to get them pointed right. From where I've took them off probably last year, cleaned them, and then in the field, and then stuck them back on, they wasn't exactly straight. But we're working. Now we gotta get the GPS put in after I straighten those up a little bit, but I won't bore you all with that. Let's take a thumb wrench and turn them a little bit. Now that we got the sprayer itself ready, now we need to get the GPS installed in here. I had this in the McCormick for the grain drill we were planting last fall, but now I need it in here for the sprayer. It has a ram mount. It did come with a suction cup, but I don't trust suction cups. And when you're talking about something that's expensive as a GPS or something, I'm not trusting it with a suction cup. They fall off. They're very unreliable. Some of them work real good. The ram one seems to be the best that I've found. But if it's going to be in here bounced around for the next couple months, I want it hard mounted, because if this thing just falls the wrong way and busts or something, it's going to cost me a fortune. So I don't want to have to go through that, and I'd rather be safe than sorry. So we're going to run this around through here. Get it tightened down. Like that. Need to get all the power wire. One thing I like about this GPS, it's easy to move from tractor to tractor. The way I got it set up, I'll zip tie all that, because this thing's going to be in here for quite some time. I'm going to do my little flashy light. Let's plug this in here. Probably go under like I did before. Move it over here. Now this is the antenna. This is one that's easy to move. It has a magnet on the bottom. I've had some people say before about other stuff, like the light I got on the roof that's magnetic. If you don't have steel tops on your tractors, which the 4710 has a full steel top, the McCormick is plastic. The problem I ran into with the McCormick, being it has a plastic top, is that with the magnets, there's nothing to stick these to. But these antennas come with a plate with 3M tape, and you peel the tape off, and you stick it, clean the top of the roof real good, and you stick it on the top, and it won't ever come off, and then you just slap this on there anytime you want to. Or if you bought one of those flashy lights that goes on the top, want my mic, you can just stick it on with it the same way. So if you've ever wondered about wanting to do magnetic stuff, but your top on your tractor's plastic, you can just get you some 3M tape and stick them on, and it's not real hard, it's not that big of a deal, and then it's just go from there. All right, let's go stick this thing on the roof. All right, y'all, one thing with the tops of these tractors is when you mount these antennas, they need to be in the center of the thing, and then they'll have a back and forward setting in the thing you'll set up, and I'll show y'all that in a minute. I've done this before and showed y'all, but I'll do it again. Even though this top is steel, I went ahead and put the plate up here anyway when I originally installed this, so that way I'd know every time where this thing needed to be. I could have just saved the plate and probably colored it with a Sharpie or something up there, little dots, that way I know it needed to be in the center of it. But that's it, that's all you do. You just stick the magnet up there just like that, run the cord back down inside of the cab, that's it, and then the little rubber piece, and it's installed. I'll get some zip tie the cords up so they're not dangling everywhere, and then that's it. I did the same thing with the light. Really like this light still so far. It is magnetic. I didn't put anything on the top for it to stick it to, because I wasn't worried about where it needed to be in the middle or not perfectly. But Massey's do have steel tops. That's one thing I do like about a Massey Ferguson, is they have metal in them, not plastic. The hoods are steel. They're not plastic made. Now that I got everything wired in, zip tied up, or secured where it needs to be, we're going to try and flip this thing on. Turn the power on. Sometimes this thing with a cigarette lighter can be a little bit tricky to get enough connection. If I was going to leave this thing in this tractor all the time, there it comes on, I would hardwire it straight to the battery and I wouldn't have that issue, because sometimes this thing can't get good connection through this plug. It never, once it's on it won't cut off, but getting it to start up sometimes can be a little bit aggravating, but that's because I hadn't hardwired it. Once this thing loads up, I got to put in all the different settings for the width, the sprayer, height, from the ground to the top of the tractor, and then forward and aft, and left and right. So it's up from the drill settings to the sprayer settings, because the drill is a lot smaller in width and everything than the sprayer. All right. Let's see. Now this thing has, I've talked about this before, it's got a yield monitor and everything else in it, that if you buy the hardware, if you had this in a combine and you bought the hardware to go on the combine and whatnot to go with this GPS, you can use it for that as well. But I just use it as just basic functions of it. I don't never really use it for any of that, because I don't do corn and stuff. Let's see, I gotta remember I gotta remember which, here we go, vehicle. Alright, width 337. Now when you're setting up for a sprayer with a GPS like this, you'll figure in so much overlap. So I've actually got the width on this sprayer, or on it, put into the GPS narrower than the actual sprayer width is, so that way I'll have naturally a little bit of overlap to help with streaks, and I can stay right on the line, and I'll not have to worry about any streaks. Alright, offset forward and aft. Here we go. Forward and aft is 152. Alright, that's right. Left and right 0. Height 106. Antenna position. Okay, so all that's right. Huh. I didn't realize that. They're the same between the two. Oh, wait a minute. Nope, no, they're not. I was looking at the McCormick settings on that. Let's see, height is 105, not 106. This tractor is an inch shorter than the McCormick. 105. Height forward and aft is 182 rather than 152. Well, I about made a big boo-boo. I'd had streaks everywhere. 182. Left and right is 0. Now, if the implement is in front of the tractor and you're using the GPS, you check that it has a box option for that, and it'll move everything to the front, instead of adjusting for trailing backwards, because one of these you have to plug in all this forward and aft, left and right, and height, so that way it knows exactly where the boom arms are from the center point of the tractor. So that way when you're turning, it can calculate the radius of the turn and make sure you're not leaving any streaks that way. Now if it's in the front and you click implement in front, the GPS has to figure everything the opposite way, because obviously it's in the front of the tractor instead of behind. Now if, say, you can't mount your GPS perfectly in the center of the top of the tractor for whatever reason, you click, it'll have a thing here to say right of center, and you can set it from left to right that way somehow or another. I don't know, I don't ever fooling on that. But this thing can do a lot more than I do with it. One thing I wish I had that I don't have is actually a cab level sensor. to go with this sprayer unit, because then when you're on silent ground with this GPS, as the cab tilts, the GPS moves left and right, and that can, from the satellite up in the air, that can throw you off by an inch or two if you want to be real precise, or even more than that. It can throw you off, and the lights will go back and forth as I go across the ground a little more radical than it would if I was on pretty level ground. And the level in the tractor tells the computer that the tractor is going across unlevel ground, and it'll compensate for that as it tells you how to do it and keep you on a straight and narrow path. Now, I don't have a level sensor. That's one thing I've thought about buying to go with this GPS, that I don't have to have it. Being at what I'm doing, I'm not being real precise with this GPS, but I would like to have it, because it does help, because a lot of times when I get on silent ground, I'll go ahead and overlap even more by the lights. I'll run it over a little bit more than being dead center, and to compensate for it telling me it's off some, so that way I kind of make sure I cover it, which adds up. I mean, it's more waste, but it's minimal at that point. This control box that I put in here to control the sprayer saved me lots and lots of money. Along with the GPS, it's really cut us down on the amount of waste we have going across the field. I know a lot of people probably think, well, no bigger rig than you're running, it doesn't really matter. It does. It really adds up. It seemed like I was able to go a lot farther and get a lot more done in a day, knowing where I had been and not making any mistakes or getting over too far and leaving streaks. It eliminates streaks, because it paints over the screen and you can see everywhere you've been. And with this, I'm able to, when I get to the end of the rows, just flip them on and off, and it saves me the loss of what I would lose on the turnaround. I also adjust my pressure if I see that the nozzles is another thing. As your nozzles get trash in them, they're more restricted, so the pressure will actually build in here as that goes on, and you can compensate for all that with the adjuster right here to adjust the amount of pressure you have from in the cab. And you can see it as you go, because you may get, it can happen. I've been spraying half a tank before out and noticed a change in the gauge just a little bit, and that little bit matters, because you need to get the right mixture, whether it's too much or too little. You need to get the right amount down for cost savings and everything. Other thing is, with this box, that I have boom control. If I have a streak over here that I have it done and I only need one boom arm on the side to cover it, instead of wasting the center and the complete left side of spray, I just flip these two off as I'm going out there, and I'll just hit that one streak, and it saves me all that extra chemical. All these little things that you don't think add up, I found out really do add up as you go on throughout the day, and especially when you're buying the chemical that you need, and it's expensive as these herbicides are becoming. It really pays off in a hurry. You don't have to have it by any means. I sprayed for years with nothing, and just did it off of eye, no foamers, no nothing. My justification for buying the GPS when I bought this unit here was, if I bought a foamer to go onto this sprayer, it was going to cost me close to what the GPS cost, and then every time I went to the field, I would have to buy soap or whatever you put in the foamer. A lot of people use different things besides just foaming solution, but instead of having to buy that constantly, every time I turn this on, I don't have to worry about it. I just follow it, and I know exactly where I've been. And the other thing too is, with foam, if it's a little bit windy, it can blow away and it can move. I've seen foam when guys are fertilizing or doing stuff for us that had foamers blow over 5 foot across the field from where they were at, and they were leaving 5 foot streaks because they couldn't tell where they had been, because the foam was moving and they were going off the foam. So I mean, it really pays off to have a GPS unit. There is a trade-off is it really justifiable? As much ground as we cover and I spray, this unit right here is worth every cent that it's cost us, or me. It cost me, and it's really helped. This here was nowhere near the expense that is, and it has saved just as much, if not more, in money than that has, because of the ability to do this. Something as simple as that. You could cut it off by the PTO switch, but the thing is with that, there's a lot of wear and tear right here in this switch, and it's a lot more expensive to replace these than it is just a little toggle switch in this box, because you just unbolt the back of the box and you put a new toggle switch in it, and it's not that expensive. And there's a lot of wear and tear right here, because that's what I was doing for a while, and it's more fatigue with these, having to push this on and off, and then it's a lot for the tractor to constantly have to kick that on and off and restart it and wear on your clutch and everything. Whereas this, there's no wear. It has a couple electric switches back there that flip around, and it turns it on, and then you get the benefit of being able to section control and everything. Now they have smaller units than this that's cheaper. You can get them without a gauge, with just a toggle switch and section controls without an adjuster. You can get them with the gauge and the toggle switch with no section control, just one solenoid that turns it on and off without an adjuster. I mean, I've seen several different things, but I would recommend something like this, because like the T-Jet, this is a 744A-3 sprayer control unit. You could buy this thing and you have everything at your fingertips, and you get the niceness of one of these high dollar fancy sprayers that cost a fortune, like some of the Hardy sprayers that's out there. I mean, the large ones that are 500-gallon tank sprayers, they cost an arm and a leg to pay for them. I mean, thousands of dollars. I'm out here with a 500-gallon homemade thing. I don't even think we bought this thing off of somebody. I don't even think we give $1,000 for a sprayer when we bought it several years ago when we got it. It's as plain as day. It does just as good a job as some of the most expensive sprayers, and I still have the same features right here as they do. You'll see a lot of them have the fancy monitor now. A lot of those you can get in more technical. I can make this one do exactly what those are doing. A lot of those sprayers will actually have control. This is where it gets into more complicated stuff. From the GPS unit, you can set these GPS units. If I bought a Raven control system for my sprayer, I could tie the sprayer's cutoffs and everything into the GPS, and as I got to the end to turn around, it automatically shuts everything off, turns it on for me. I don't have to do any of this. But then again, you're talking about a ton of money to buy that system, put it on, when you can sit here and do that. So it's all on what you want to spend. If you're looking for cost effectiveness, this is probably as cheap as you could do it and still be as most effective as you can be, is the system I have set up. I'm slowly working on building this sprayer to what I actually want it to be. I would love nothing more to have, I think it's a Hardy 550 sprayer, but we can't afford nothing like that. It's the same size sprayer as I'm using, pretty close. I think the 550 would be 25 gallon bigger than this one. This one will hold 525 when it's slap full, and at a fraction of the cost of what one of those things are. So everybody's probably always wondering, what is all this crap? Why do you take it all in and out and everything? It's to make room and be comfortable. This will come out whenever I'm done with it spraying. The GPS will also be taken out and put in the house. And then the monitor, if you're wondering about that because you don't see it up here, I have got the Wi-Fi unit right here. It all works. I already set everything up, got the iPad and everything fixed to where I can run this unit on this tractor. I've got to put the one on the McCormick, and then I'm going to mount the monitor right there in the corner. But that's installing GPS. So let's get started, and let's go spray today. We got to get something done. If you're wondering why I'm sitting here talking, wasting time, it's because I'm waiting on the sprayer to fill up. Normally I'd have the tanks on the trailer and it'd take me 5 minutes to refill 500 gallon through the pump, and I'd be done. and gone again. That's how I get 3 tanks in a day. That's another huge thing. I'll go over that later for the new people to the channel. That has really cut down time and allowed us to get more done in a day than we used to could. Used to, I could only spray 1 tank of spray a day, because the time I sprayed it out and refilled it, the day was gone nearly. And I didn't have near enough time to spray out a whole tank. So now I'm spraying 3 tanks a day. So I mean, I've tripled my production, saved money, cut cost. All this was not the cheapest in the world to get, but at the end of the day, it's got us to where we are. So, and it's helped cut us cost and save us money and increase production. So I mean, what else can you ask for? All right, let's go.